The Nissan Nation podcast is a presentation of DRB and KGB Media.
Recorded live, coast to coast, it's the Nissan Nation podcast. From camping, racing, and all points in between. The NNP is your Nissan Nation podcast. Now start your engines and welcome in the hosts, David and Danny.
What is going on, Nissan Nation? Man, here in Middle Tennessee, we got beautiful blue skies, the grass is green, and we're here to talk Nissan. Tonight, we do not have Daniel, the Big Deal Grooters, tonight. Tonight, we got my wife, Kelly. What's going on, Kelly?
Hi.
A lady of very few words there. Also, tonight, we got a very, very special guest, Miss Jenn Bachman. What is going on, Jen?
Hey, not much. How's it going?
How's the weather out there?
The weather is gorgeous today. It's probably about 90 degrees and sunny and nice and dry like it usually is in Nevada.
So it's perfect wheeling weather, eh?
It is perfect wheeling weather.
Sorry to pull you away from the outdoor fun then. So what we're going to do tonight, we got Miss Jen here and we got Miss Kelly. I am surrounded by awesome women. So we're going to do kind of a special show where it's more of the woman's point of view on this. But first, let's see. What do we got this week? Let's get into some news. Jen, if you want to comment on any of this, please feel free to. Let's see. Nissan released some numbers this week, their year-to-date numbers so far, and things are looking up for them. Last month was a little bit down, but that's the weather can change that here in America. And I mean, it's crazy what can change the dealers' numbers like this. But big thing. Altima is up big time. The Leaf is down. Go figure there with these lower gas prices. Nobody's wanting those electric cars. Juke is actually holding steady, which is kind of surprising. That thing has been around for a while. Jen, what is your opinion on that old Juke?
My opinion of the Juke is not very high, to be perfectly honest.
Just is it because it's a car, or just don't like the design?
I'm not much of a car person anyway, but it's a lot of it is the design. I'm not really into it almost seems like they're trying too hard to have a unique looking vehicle, and I'd rather have a plain common looking car, I guess. It's not very exciting.
Well, Nissan's not known for plain anymore. It seems like all their new designs are curvy and just something completely different.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see what they do with the next Frontier. I like the basic design of the truck the way it is now. I know a lot of people are kind of looking forward to the next big thing, and I'm not one of those people. Right.
Well, speaking of Frontier, I'm looking at their numbers, and they're actually down 6% so far this year, which is to be expected. The thing is a 10-year-old design. I mean, I've owned two of these things now. What year is yours?
Mine's a 2009.
All right. So you've had yours a little bit, and they've really not done, they've done some styling changes on the dash and stuff, but the basic truck is held steady for 10 years. It's pretty good testament to that design. Let's see. What else we got? Xterra, my heart, my soul, my passion, sadly, is it's up for the month, but it's down about 2,000 sales, which is sad. When this thing launches is probably the death nail on it.
Isn't this the last month that they are going to be producing those?
It is. From everything that I've been told, there's no official press release yet, and probably to Nissan's benefit, they don't do that till they actually kill off a car. But yeah, usually middle of August is when they kind of do some model switchovers. So the Titan should be taking its place pretty soon. I don't think they're actually producing this last generation Titan now. So Canton probably has a couple holes they're about to fill. I know they're actually going to start producing some filler Altima. They do Altima, but they're about to pick up production of Altima a little bit, and their Armada, I think, is down with them right now. Which kind of a cool thing that I've learned this week is it looks like the next Altima is the current Patrol, what we're seeing overseas and stuff, which is it's pretty much a different design. It's a big V8 big SUV, but the design is it's pretty different from the current one.
You mean the Armada?
Yes.
You said the Ultima.
Sorry. And this is why you keep your wife around for a podcast. But so I'm sitting here looking at my numbers and talking about something else. But yes, the Armada is from what I understand, it's going to be redesigned as the current Patrol. And it's actually, from what I know, is not going to be built in America till they get the next generation up. So Canton looks like they're needing some vehicles to build. I've heard that they were going to fill in with the Rogue a little bit. I know last show we talked about how Nissan is actually, their sales are through the roof for Rogue. Let's see here. This time last year, I think they had sold about 16,000 of these things. This year, as of right now, they're at 25,000. Oh, I'm sorry. That's for the month. Last month it was, or last month it was 16,000. This year it's 25. So for the year they've sold 164,000 of those things. Is that a vehicle that you'd ever be interested in, Jen?
You know, I prefer the manual transmission, so anything that doesn't have that as an option isn't really in the cards for me.
Anything CVT is out of the work.
Yeah.
I love a transmission, but Nissan's so headstrong with this thing, but their EPA numbers back up what they're trying to do, and sadly the cool cars pay for all that, and so no manual transmissions. I've even heard like the next Z, they're talking about doing away with the manuals, so that's kind of a bummer.
That is a bummer.
That my G35 I had, that was so much fun having that 6-speed transmission, to be able to burn the tires off and pay for that. I shouldn't talk this way in front of my wife here.
No, you shouldn't. And then you give me a hard time about burning the clutch out on it.
That's right. Well, you did. I'm not going to lie about that. No. Anyways, let's see what else numbers we got. The newly designed Murano is up. It's up about 17%. This month, they've sold 54,000 of these things. And last year, this time, they've sold, 4,600. So it's up, and that's to be expected. It's a new design. And I like that thing. I know we've looked at that a little bit, Kelly. What do you like about that thing?
Well, I like it, of course, because it's the top of the line. It's got all the bells and whistles. Not that the majority of their vehicles don't anymore, but I really like that it's a bit more streamlined. You're getting more of the feel of the Infiniti line with the Murano. The only thing I have to say is I'm a little sad that the SUVs are starting to all look pretty much alike. So that's the thing that makes me a little sad about the lines, because you have the Xterra, that's unique. You had the Pathfinder, which had a little bit of the play from the Xterra, and then you had the Murano, which was purely the upper line of that. And I think they've kind of taken the designs a little bit too close to each other. So it's a little sad to me that they're not quite as unique as they used to be. But I do like the feel of the vehicle because it does drive like a car, but it is an SUV. Right. So I'd like it for a daily driver type thing would be fun to do. But
it seems like Nissan is real bad about this, and I'll let you two talk about it a little bit. But it seems like they're taking like the Ultima that's their bread and butter car. So what they do with the Sentra? It was like a mini me Ultima. It's just like you just shrink it down, and it seems to be sort of the way with the Rogue and the Murano is it's just basically a mini me car.
It's almost like they find their one thing that they like about something, and they go, hey, this is successful, so let's make all the rest just like it. When really, what I've really liked in Nissan over the years is that there's a uniqueness to each of the different vehicles. So to me, I can say, you know what, this vehicle isn't really working for our family right now. What's next? Oh, great, I get to change it up a little bit. But now it's just, okay, what's next? Which one's mine in the parking lot kind of a thing? So, I think that's kind of why I like the uniqueness of the Xterra too. So it makes me quite sad that it's going away.
Right. And it seems like it's that way within each brand of vehicle now, but every brand is starting to look more and more like the other brands. There isn't much uniqueness between the brands anymore.
Yeah, that's very, very sad. And the new Titan, is I think it's going to be the cue for the way the next Frontier is going to be a little bit. From what I've been told, we had Greg with Nico Club on, and the man knows more about cars than I'll ever know. But the restrictions that the federal government now are putting on, like with crash testing or crash zones and stuff, it's really limited how these guys can design a car. So it's nearly like NASCAR anymore, where you can kind of play with the front just a little bit and play with the back just a little bit, but the middle of the car, you have to leave it alone. And it's sad. Maybe the next regime that hits the Oval Office might look at this. I doubt it. Once these laws are in effect, they're usually in effect, and we the people pay for that. So that's on our different show. That's Political Nation. We'll try not to get into that one. But let's see. I love this number right here, the Nissan Quest. Oh man, they're selling a massive amount of these things. They're actually up. They're up from 786 of those things last year at this time to 895. I mean,
oh my,
that warms my heart that the Nissan Xterra is still outselling that thing. And speaking of Xterra, where are we at? Xterra sold nearly 1,200 this past month, that's kind of been where it's staying, which is it's surprising since the article came out in February, where they were saying, hey, Nissan's killing it and they're killing it. And usually that would kind of hurt sales. And the sales have, especially the past 18 months, the sales have been going down and down and down. But it's a lot like the Frontier, you can only look at the same vehicle for so long before you want something different. Jen, when you went to the Frontier, was the first generation ever a possibility for you?
No, we didn't actually start looking at trucks until 2009. Right. It wasn't anything we were seriously thinking about doing, and we wanted to buy the truck brand new. Mm-hmm. So the first generation was not something we even considered.
Right.
It was kind of more between the Frontier and the Tacoma, which I think is how most people who end up with the Frontier start out.
Right. We have to give a shout out for the Tacoma fan out there, your mom. We heard that your mom bought she went to Moab with you, correct?
She went to Moab with me. My parents have I think it's a 2001 Toyota Tundra that they've had forever and ever.
Oh, so they're hardcore Toyota.
Yeah, and a couple years ago, they expressed interest in joining me on a trail run. And somewhere along the way, my mother, which surprised me a bit, decided that this was something that was really fun. And when I just casually mentioned toward the beginning of the year that I was going to Moab for a week, my mother said that she very much would like to go. And so she ended up being my shotgun rider for the Moab trip. And she had an absolute blast. And shortly after that trip, my parents started looking for a new truck. They ended up with a 2014 Tacoma, and they're building it up, and they're planning on taking it to Moab next year. And my mom's the one who's going to be driving.
That is awesome, man. We couldn't get them in a Nissan though, could we?
No, my dad drove my truck. And then they went out and then they drove a Tacoma, and my dad's kind of a big guy. He's 6'2". He likes to stretch his legs out when he drives. And he just felt the Tacoma was a little bit more comfortable. It wasn't anything, where they didn't like the Frontier. I think it was just a combination of they thought the truck was a little bit more comfortable. They already had a Tacoma.
Right.
They already had a Toyota, so they were already comfortable with the brand. Tried to get him in a Nissan. My mom was pretty impressed with the Frontiers and the Xterras that she saw out at Moab, but I think they ended up with a good truck anyway.
Right. Well, I mean, you can't. I love Nissan a lot, but the Toyota small trucks for some reason is just king in America. They with Nissan, the Frontier will sell about 6,000 a month. The Toyota is probably about 12,000 a month. So there's probably a reason for that. And I will say their interiors are a little more, redefined, and it's more for everybody. Where I think like this Frontier here is very boxy on the inside and it's very rugged, and it's probably not for everybody. But, hey, they'll be at Moab around, I'm assuming that it's gone Moab?
Yes. Oh, yeah, so they're planning on coming to that.
So they might get some hazing from the Nissan guys after all.
They're prepared.
So let's see, the GTR. Oh man, I've got some news for the GTR coming up. But how many would you say they sell of those a month, Jen?
I'm not even going to try to guess.
I know. I'm just throwing. I'm just curious what the normal person thinks about it.
How you said about 900 quests a month?
Mm-hmm. I'm going to tell you, it's not even close to 900. This is a $100,000 sports car.
It's actually more than I would think.
Let's just go with 500.
Oh, I bet they wish at 100,000 a pop. Let's see. This time last.
Well, you said it was more than you thought, so I guessed high.
Let's see. Last year at this time, they sold 91 of those things, which that's probably a lot of money for a sports car. That's making them a little bit. But sadly, this month they only sold 66.
Darn.
I know there's a lot of sad Papa Bears probably out there trying to relive their childhood in that car, and Mama's Bear said, nope, not going to do it. But, man, speaking of that, with Nissan here, they allow their employees to lease cars, and I've talked about this a little bit in the past. All of a sudden, everybody out there has the option to lease the GTR, and it's pandemonium here. I'm not sure if you see many out your way.
No, not really.
Oh gosh, we probably see 20 a day here all of a sudden. Mm-hmm. I think for around $600 a month, they get to lease it, including insurance. It's a 6-month lease, but I think they can put 30,000 miles on that car.
And they do.
That sounds like quite a deal.
Yeah, no kidding. I know even a friend of ours, Ryan Davenport, he leased a Leaf and was telling us it was just ridiculously cheap for them to lease that car for a year. And with the Leaf, obviously, there's no gas for that thing, just a little bit of electricity, and it gets you down the road. Jen, do you like the Leaf at all? I mean, could you see that out there in the land of sun? Could you see that as a possible?
She's not a car person, remember?
I'm trying to get
tell you, I just, cars really don't do anything for me.
Yeah, but what if they made that into a truck? And last week, or 2 weeks ago, I reported that they were actually looking at SUVs, like a small SUV. But Nissan had planned, well, they hadn't planned, but there was they had a design contest, and they were trying to see if they could actually make a little pickup truck out of the thing. And they were successful in it, and I think they called it like the Frontier Leaf or something silly. But basically they chopped off the back of the Leaf and put a pickup bed on it. But that might be fun to go to Home Depot in. I don't know maybe a bag of sand you could put in it, but that might be fun. Let's see what else. Let's finish up with these numbers. Oh, the Cube. My little buddy, the Cube, the little car I love to hate. I don't think they've really ever officially come out and said it's dead, even though I don't think they're making it anymore. But they did sell 52 of them this year or this month, so that's drastically down from the 324 they sold last year at this time. But hey, they're close. They're close to that GTR. So I mean,
getting there.
I'm sure the profit's slightly different, but hey, come on, little Cube, you can do it.
Much different market.
Yeah, probably so. Probably so. Let's see what else we got. Versa. Nobody cares about Versa. Sentra, bland. Cube, we talked about it. Maxima. This is interesting though. Maxima with their new design. Of course, it's really only been out about a month, but their actually sales numbers are down from the previous design. Last year this time they sold 5,700 of those things. Right now they're at 4,100.
Yeah, but didn't they raise the price quite a bit on this body style?
No, actually, it's only increased slightly, like every new model does. But I would think they're calling it a sports sedan, which it's a front wheel drive CVT car. It's hard to call anything sporty with a CVT. But I have rode in the thing, and it is a little rocket ship. But I don't know if I'm gonna be excited about that car just yet. Let's see. Oh, this is interesting. Their minivan, the NV200, outsold pretty much the Xterra and everything else. So that was kind of cool. Let's see. Screw that. I'm done talking that crap. Let's see. Let's get into a news report here.
Waking people up now.
That's right. Carscoops.com is reporting that the next GTR could be a 4-door supercar.
Wow.
Yeah, that is very interesting. Of course, there's also reports that it could be a hybrid as well. I guess when you're playing around with $100,000, maybe you want 4 doors. I don't know. Maybe you feel gypped with just the 2 doors they currently have. I'm excited for the next one. It's about 2 years out, but everything I hear about it, of course, it's going to be the bigger car, and then they're going to take the 350 or the 370Z, whatever they end up calling it next. It's going to be a smaller car. So I really want to see what they could do with this four-door sports car, a true four-door sports car, all-wheel drive. Maybe this will be like $112,000. You got to pay for that extra door, maybe.
Still out of range.
That's right. Not in this household. I don't know about yours, Jen, but we're out of that range. I'm barely into the Frontier range, it seems like, anymore.
That buys a house in our market.
Pretty much. Let's see. Insiders claim to have intimate knowledge about the project. Ooh. What kind of intimate knowledge does that require?
That sounds seductive.
It does. I mean, does that, you take Nissan out to dinner maybe and whisper sweet nothings in his ears? I don't know how that works, but yeah. So maybe we'll see. I love the car. I love seeing them around, but I don't have that kind of scratch for it. So let's see. Let's interview Miss Jen. Or Jen, are you ready to be interviewed?
I am ready. You know, I feel like you didn't prepare me adequately for this show. I've got to be honest with you. I would have done a little bit more research on these Nissan cars so that I could have contributed a little bit more to the conversation.
I don't know. I think you made it plain and present that you're not a car person. Let's see here. Well, if my music will play, let's get to it. Let's see. Tonight we got Miss Jenn Bachman, the lady of Club Frontier, I guess. That's your big claim to fame from what I know of you. Jen is a kick-ass person that we met out in Moab this year. We kind of talked a little bit on the Book of Faces and got to know you a little bit that way. But Jen, what tell us a little bit about how you got to be in a Nissan. Obviously, we just heard a minute ago, like, kind of Toyota might have been in the family, but what brought you to the Nissan brand?
Well, you know, to be perfectly honest with you, because of the Toyota trucks being in the family and whatnot, when I set out to buy a truck, the Tacoma was what we were planning on buying. And my husband and I went to a car show in early 2009. And we were just kind of casually looking at the trucks. We looked at the Tacoma, we looked at the Frontier, and both of us actually liked the Frontier a bit better. We've got a couple of medium-sized dogs that we like to, you know, take hiking, and the Frontier actually looked like it would be a bit more comfortable for them to ride in the back seat.
Do you ever get your dogs? Do you ever get your dogs fussing about the comfort? Do they give you that look like, really? Sometimes they get a little bit uncomfortable, and the younger one will try to join us in the front seat. And he makes it very clear that he's not happy about being back there. But, you know, that's just kind of how he is. We picked the best truck for them, so I'm not really sure what his deal is. But But your dog's not named Toyota, though, right?
Oh, no.
But... So you kind of did a comparison, and you just felt like that was the better vehicle, eh?
We did. And then when we went to purchase, we actually didn't even test drive the Tacoma. We were kind of looking at trucks and weren't really seriously thinking about buying. And, you know, I kind of mentioned earlier that my preference is to have a manual transmission. Mm-hmm. And my husband told me one day that he had noticed that one of the local dealerships had a Frontier with a 6-speed manual transmission and thought it might be fun to go out and test drive it. And so we just kind of did that as sort of a fun little date night thing. Right. And long story short, by the end of that weekend, we owned a new truck.
Well, you know, date nights are strange like that. They can lead to like expensive rings or you know, expensive Nissan trucks. So you've owned this truck brand new then?
Yes. Yeah,
awesome.
we purchased it in 2009.
That's awesome. And this is just me out of curiosity. What led you? Because you have an SE model, right?
Yes.
Would the Pro? Well, I guess it wouldn't have been the Pro 4X at the time. It had been the off-road. Was that ever an option, or was it just a lack of knowledge on that vehicle?
It was honestly a lack of knowledge. When we bought the truck, we had, or I guess I'll switch to talking about me because the off-roading is actually my thing. I had very, very little in the way of off-road knowledge. Right. I didn't even know what a locking rear differential was. And
how could you?
Believe it or not.
They don't teach that in school?
Believe it or not, I wasn't really set out to get a truck for off-roading. I wanted a truck just because I wanted a truck. And then something happened.
Uh-oh. That mod bug kicked in?
That mod bug kicked in, that wheeling bug kicked in, and here we are today.
I've talked in the past about what got me was I was looking to weigh amount of CB in one of these things. Kind of what was the one thing that kind of put you over that made you start searching out how do people do this, or what brought you to kind of start modifying your vehicle?
Well, that's a great question. When the truck was about a year old, I had some friends who were into four-wheeling. And so I decided to join them on some trail runs and realized that I had quite a bit less ground clearance than they had. And so that's what led to the lift kit and the tires. And then I realized somewhere along the line that my rocker panels were very vulnerable. And the way I realized that was by a rock told me so.
They're funny. They'll talk to you like that.
They did. So when I put my first dent in my nice new shiny truck, I decided that I needed to try to figure out a way to protect the rocker panels. And, and at that point, the four-wheeling thing was still something I was really casual about, just go out with some friends, mess around on some roads. And then it was actually a Nissan meet where I started thinking it was something I wanted to get a bit more serious about. I ended up meeting up with some Nissan people at an off-road park, and there was an obstacle at the off-road park called the Frame Twister, and it was basically a little rock garden. Nothing too serious by the standards I have today, but at the time, it looked to be the most intimidating thing that I could possibly imagine. And I first looked at the obstacle and thought, there's no way you could take a pickup truck through all these rocks. That would just be insanity. And then I saw somebody do it. And then I saw a couple more people drive through this obstacle and thought, that looks like something that might be a little fun to try. So I asked one of the other Nissan owners if he would be willing to be my spotter as I tried out this obstacle. And I was absolutely terrified, just gripping the steering wheel with white knuckles, shaking the whole time, just convinced that I was going to destroy my truck, and got all the way through it and just went, wow, I can't believe my truck just did that.
Right. Did you see like all the things that you were about to break in your head? Because I know when I took Kelly out for the first time, that was like the only thing that went through her head was, besides the fact that you're not supposed to take a newer vehicle through stuff like that, was she was like, he's going to break this, he's going to break this, we're never going to get home.
I didn't. There wasn't anything specific I thought I was going to break, but I was just convinced that I was going to destroy the truck. Or get stuck and, look like a complete idiot but the truck, it went through this little rock garden so easily. And I was just so impressed with this little vehicle that I decided that from that point forward, that's what I wanted to do with it.
Right. So basically though, the lift was kind of your first mod to it.
The lift and the tires I did right around the same time, and the rock sliders came shortly after that. So
what did you have to do? Just basically start searching around how do you lift these things, or kind of what led you maybe to Club Frontier that that maybe really kicked it in?
What led me to Club Frontier was researching lift kits. Right. My husband was actually the one who found that website, and I'm not sure if he regrets that now. but he said, "Hey, did you know there's a forum on the internet for people who own these trucks?" And so I went on there and started taking a look around and read all the threads about lifting a truck that I could find, and found myself feeling incredibly confused.
Isn't it addictive though? Once you read the first couple build threads, it's like, holy cow, I've got to go through every one of them. And then
it is. I love build threads. There are a few build threads that when I see that there's been an update to the thread, I just get excited and I want to go see what they did.
Right. Well, what's amazing was, and I've been told this with my Xterra builds, that they'll kind of, a new person will read it a little bit and they'll kind of get in, and then they don't realize there's 3 hours to go through one of these things. It's not just a simple, you look at a couple of pictures, they've done this. Some of these people, and from what I can tell of your builds, you've really went all out and detailed what you've done. And when you read some of these people's build threads like that, it can take up a whole night. You look around and it's like, oh crap, I got to be at work tomorrow.
Yeah. There have been people who have told me recently that they just sat down and read my entire build thread. And I can't even imagine how many hours that would take somebody. My build thread it's a lot of detail about the different modifications that I've done, but I also include my trip reports in there. Because I do go on a lot of wheeling trips, and
Sure.
So I do add pictures from some of those in there. And there's a lot of bullshitting in my build thread too. And just the thought of somebody sitting down, I've actually got it pulled up right now, and it looks like I'm at, I've got my settings a little bit different. I'm showing 63 pages, but I think I think the default setting for that is something like 120 or so pages, and just the thought of somebody reading that entire thing. But I've done that when I've been researching different modifications and I've come across build threads that I think are cool. I'll sit down and I'll read the whole thing from the first page to the last page, and then I look at the clock and I can't believe where the time went, and I don't even want to know how many hours of my life I have spent doing stuff like that.
So that's funny, and that's a lot like me. I get sucked into those things, man. And especially when you're early on.
Kelly's nodding.
Especially early on when you're kind of a noob to everything, and you're really I guess it's like a kindergartner going to school or something. It's like as soon as you get just a little bit of information, you're sucked in, and of course it's nice to always read how people their mistakes. So you try to not make those, and no matter what, we all make some of the same mistakes no matter what. I guess human nature is we think we're smarter than the last person. But is there been kind of one of those mistakes where you were like, I'm going to do this, and then it just backfired on you?
There have been a few mistakes. I'm not sure how many of them I want to be completely open about. I will say, as far as the suspension goes, I've had several different suspension setups. The first one that I did was a spacer lift. I wouldn't necessarily say that was a mistake. I think that's where a lot of people start, just to get the extra ground clearance on the truck. And when we got the truck, I was still in school, and so keeping the budget reasonable was very important. And I think that's the same story a lot of people have. I don't have a lot of money. I want a little more ground clearance. I'm going to get a spacer lift.
Right.
The lift I did after that was a mistake. For whatever reason, somebody decided that it would be a good idea to combine the Bilstein lift shocks with the Old Man Emu lift, and posted up a thread about what a wonderful way this was to get, to get additional lift without having that pesky coil bucket contact that these trucks are known for. And so that was the second lift I put on the truck.
Was it still just because of budget, though?
it was still because of budget. At that point, I was still in school. I thought it would be better than a spacer lift. In some ways it was, but in some ways it wasn't. And I eventually had one of my shocks come apart when I was driving.
Yikes.
And so, that was a mistake.
I'd say.
You know, and now I've got a suspension setup that I'm really happy with. So it's worked out for me in the end.
Well, it seems like you are a big fan of PRG, is it?
Yes. Yeah, PRG is kind of semi-local to me. I'm in Reno, Nevada. PRG's in Northern California, and it's actually not much of a drive. So I know the owner, Greg of PRG, and so I do get a lot of my parts from him. I don't get everything from him, but I have gotten a lot of parts from him.
It's probably nice to be fairly close to a shop like that too, that can, you know, that you can talk to, and instead of just it's an internet page where buy it now or look at the next page, that you can really, you know, talk to somebody and says, hey, how does this affect my vehicle? You know, what's the pros and cons?
It is. It really is, you know, and because I know him, he's been willing to help me out with installing things that, you know, I just redid the rear suspension on my truck, and I
think those were the posts I seen you cussing about.
Yeah, maybe. But it worked out in the end because I was able to drive over the hill to Greg at PRG and let him go through the hassle of doing that for me. So
hey, there is no shame in that. If I don't know something, I'm taking it to somebody that does know something, you know? Right. Well, let's see here. You are Titan swapped, it looks like. Is that correct?
Yes. The truck is Titan swapped. I have Radflow coilovers on the front with PRG aftermarket arms. I've also got a Titan front differential, the M205, along with the Titan axles. The truck has been re-geared to 456s, which I did because, well, I did it for the added crawling ability, to make the truck a little bit more capable. But because my truck is a 6-speed, the truck came with a 354 gear ratio, which there isn't a Titan front differential ratio that matches up with that. So I had to re-gear the truck and decided if I'm going to re-gear it, damn it, I'm going to do it right, and got the 456s.
Right. And, you know, that's the biggest thing, you know, like you were talking about with your shocks, the issues you had with that is it's almost, especially once you get sucked in these forums, you can learn pretty quick the do's and the don'ts. And it almost seems like instead of like where I see people just gradually kind of get into the Titan swap, if you get serious about this, you might as well, for the travel and stuff you get out of it, you might as well just save up and bite the bullet, because in the end, you're probably going to spend a couple $1,000s that you didn't need to just to get to the point of spending a couple $1,000 more dollars to Titan swap the vehicle.
Definitely. Yeah.
So let's see, about when did you join one of the forums? You said it was about a year after owning the truck?
Yeah, I think it was about 2010 that I first joined Club Frontier.
So your screen name wouldn't give away any male or female kind of to me. Sounds silly, but did you have like people thinking, hey, it's one of the guys? Once you start really getting involved in it, did they actually know about you at all?
You know, that's actually kind of funny that you brought that up. When I first joined the forum, I had a different screen name.
Oh.
My truck, I'm one of those people who names their vehicles.
Hey, guilty as charged. Guilty as charged. And
my vehicles all have male names, and so my screen name was the name of my truck, and which is Junior. My screen name was actually Junior NB. All right. Originally. Then I had it changed to Junior NB when people started realizing I was a woman. You know, and I think it's kind of interesting when I see a lot of women join these internet forums, they advertise it right off the bat. Right. Hey guys, I'm here. I'm a girl. I have a truck. When I joined the forum, I wanted, I don't know, I guess I guess I was a little afraid of the female stereotype. Just that we tend to not be as knowledgeable about vehicles, and I know not everybody feels that way, but there is a large group of people who tend to view females that way, and I didn't want that stereotype. I didn't want to have to deal with that. And so I guess you could almost say I was compensating for that by giving myself a male name so that nobody would know that I was a female, because I wanted to be taken seriously. And then I kind of let my reputation build up, and then, surprise, I'm a girl.
And then kind of drop the ball on them, right?
Yeah, and after I went to the first Nissan meet, then it was, everybody knew.
And you were like, hey, I'm the one.
Couldn't hide it anymore.
Oh, when I show up to those things, people think I'm a doctor, so it doesn't matter.
That is true. Well, yeah, absolutely. I will concur on that, because, a lot of people know me and they're like, oh, that's DRB's wife, or that type of thing. But, I think there's definitely a common misconception that women can't know about vehicles, and they can't be knowledgeable and know what they're talking about. Because I know that there's been, over the years, I kind of grew up, and I know we kind of talked about this a couple podcasts ago, and I kind of grew up going into the auto parts store, and the guys looking at me like, let me go look at your vehicle and let me figure out what you need. No. I know exactly what I need walking into the stores and that type of thing. So there's a couple of brands of auto parts store that I actually won't go in because of those experiences. But
oh, I hate going to auto parts stores.
It's terrible. And, it's kind of funny because you feel, and I hate to say this as a woman, but as a woman, you feel like you have to walk in and be like, this is what I need. This is the vehicle I'm working on. And I know, and when they go, oh, can I install that for you? No, I'm good. I got it taken care of. But,
right.
And I hate to say that, but I'm right there with you in that regard, because it's, you want to be, you kind of want to be confident and say, hey, I'm a chick and I can do this too. But at the same point, you kind of, like you said, you want to build that reputation up before kind of that, because you don't want that stigma to be surrounded by, essentially.
Absolutely.
Right.
Yeah.
And like you, Kelly, she's made it a point to turn wrenches on her vehicle. If you're going to get into the hobby, man, you really, I think I see a lot of guys on these forums that they get on there and they talk a big game, and then when something breaks, it's taking it to their local Napa or repair place or something, and that's one reason why we wanted you on here, because getting to know you a little bit, it's awesome that for one, you're a kick-ass, off-road driver. Some of the stuff that I seen you go up in Moab, I think I would be a little nervous going up. What was it, Hell's Gate? You went up Hell's Gate? Right. And for those that don't know, that maybe car people, search Hell's Gate, Moab, Utah, and
search Hell's Gate rollover.
Yeah, well, yeah. You'll probably find more videos of that. But from what I understand, there was people having all kinds of problems, and you just crawled right up that thing. Is that correct?
Yeah, they actually did Hell's Gate on 2 different days. Mm-hmm. The day that you're talking about, where all different people had a lot of problems, was on Friday. I know somebody got some damage to their fender, and 2 vehicles got really tippy. One of tipsy. 2 of the vehicles got really tippy, and one of them, you can see a picture where people are holding it down to keep it from rolling over.
Is that McAfee's truck?
It was, yes.
It's okay.
Yes.
You can call him out here. It's all right.
I think you actually mentioned that on the last show. But the day that I did it, I went up there with a group of 19 trucks, and I was actually the only person that did it on the day that I did it.
No way. Really? Did people just turn around and no thanks, I'm good?
I don't know. There was a storm in the area. It looked like there was going to be some rain coming in, and some rain actually did come in that afternoon. So I don't know if people were nervous about the weather. I was actually pretty nervous about that when I started up because I didn't want to be caught on that obstacle.
Sure.
In the middle of a rainstorm.
Yeah.
But fortunately, it held out long enough for me to make it up. But I think that might be part of the reason why people were kind of hesitating was because of the rain that was rolling in.
Did your mother ride up that with you too?
No, she did not. And she said that the reason she did it was because she didn't want to make me nervous. So I really appreciate that because to say that I was nervous was an understatement. That was the most terrifying thing I have ever done.
Right. And pictures do not do that obstacle justice. Even some of the video I've seen of that, you're just like, oh, I'll just crawl right up that. What's the big deal? And when you see it, you're like, holy cow.
Yeah, well, as I suggested earlier, if you look at the video of Hell's Gate rollover, you can see that it's actually not that difficult to get yourself put in a bad spot. It's one of those where you got something going on in the background there.
Yeah, the Nissan podcast dog has decided it's Fix's bedtime.
That is very distracting.
Sorry about that. He'll give his review of the show later. So, it's very easy to get off camera on that obstacle. You don't realize it until you start going up it. And I did get to one spot coming up it where I almost stalled my truck, and it just happened to be the spot where one of my front tires started to feel very, very light. Oh. And at that spot, it felt like if I'd been, just a couple inches in the wrong direction, it seemed like it probably would have gotten pretty tippy. And fortunately, I recovered from that near stall and was able to make it through. But do you think some of the rollovers on that obstacle is due to spotting?
I think some of it is due to poor spotting. I think some of it is due to the fact that when you're climbing up that, the direction that the spotter is giving you doesn't look like where you think you should be going. There's one spot where my spotter was directing me one direction, and it really looked like I should have been turning my wheels the other way from what he was telling me. And, and I followed his instructions, but what he told me was a lot of people get to that spot and they decide, I'm not going to listen to my spotter because he's wrong. And then vehicle goes over, and if they're lucky, it just goes over. And if they're not so lucky, that obstacle's a lot steeper than it looks in pictures, and people do tumble all the way to the bottom.
Yeah, I've seen a couple Jeep ones where there was a dog or something in the car with them, and the car rolls down the hill, and then somehow the dog lands on his feet, and he's just like, nope, I'm done, guys. I'll see y'all at the top.
Oh, wow. I don't think I've seen that one.
Oh, there's a few great ones. And it seems like the bowl, I forget what trail it's on out there, I forget what they call it, the fish bowl or something out there. I've seen a couple rollovers in that one where, yeah, there's some pets that are just like, oh, I'm done, guys. Yeah, y'all find your own way home. So, man, we could talk all day about, like, looking over your build. What's one of your more favorite things of your build that may not be expected?
A favorite thing that may not be expected.
I mean, obviously everybody can say lift, because lift makes them super, super cool real quick.
Boy, that's a tough one. I like every single modification I've done to this truck. And I guess the expected ones to like would be the Titan swap, the lift, the lockers, the gears, the tires. I have a short throw shifter. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, that's real sweet.
The 6-speed Frontier, the stock shifter that comes on it is pretty long. So it gives you a long throw as you're trying to row through the gears, which, it's kind of a pain in the butt when you're trying to shift and you've got that long stroke you got to go through. So that's actually a pretty cool modification.
If you're going up that hill like that and you really need responsive, a change of torque or something, I could see where the long shift would really screw you up.
Yeah, it does make it a lot quicker to get into a different gear if you need to.
Well, I mean, at least you didn't say, "Hey, it's my heated side mirrors" or anything like that.
Oh, my heated side, those are awesome.
Thank you for saying that, because I told him about a year ago, and I said I figured out what the next mod on my Xterra is, because I've got an X model Xterra, so it has nothing on it. So it has a very bare minimum. And he's like, "Are you serious? That's what you want to do to your truck?" And I said, "Yes. Have you seen my mirrors in the middle of winter? Come on now."
I've never had a vehicle with heated side mirrors, and I installed those on this truck at the beginning of last winter, and I love them. I love them. I love them.
See, you called her out, and she loves them anyway.
Well, I'm just playing. Hey, my Frontier has them, and I've never had a car to have them. And even with some dew on there, you just click them on and it's gone. That's awesome.
And now you understand.
And now I know.
And knowing's half the battle.
That's right. So, I'm guessing, where you live, I know nothing, I hate to say, of your state really, but I would say y'all get a little bit of snow and ice and stuff, so that probably is needed.
Yeah, we do. In northern Nevada, and I'm actually impressed that you realize that, because there's kind of this misconception that the state of Nevada is Las Vegas, and Las Vegas doesn't get a lot of cold and a lot of snow. But I live in northern Nevada, right at the base of the Sierra Nevadas, and we don't typically get a ton of heavy snow, but we definitely do get low temperatures. We do get ice. I know the pain of scraping the ice off the side mirrors and having them just ice right back up. Mm. So that is a concept that I'm familiar with. And that's why I love my heated mirrors. And I'm so glad you brought them up so that I could talk about them.
Sorry about that. Hey, at least I didn't talk about removing the mud guards or anything. I mean, that there might have been even more. I mean, that's a heavy duty mod to some people.
I do have a rather long mod list with a lot of silly things on it, don't I?
You do. Well, I hate to say that I'm not looking at the Club Frontier one. I have to look at the the Frontier Nation one that you're on. But that getting back kind of to the forums, we were discussing that most people at first didn't know you were a lady or anything, and of course it did probably help you build your reputation a little bit. But it's so unusual, especially with truck guys. It's so unusual that you would find that there's a lady moderator. And kind of how was it? Just your reputation? I mean, I hope that's what it was based on.
I think so. I think I've always tried to be helpful on the forums because I understand what it's like to be new to this and to not know anything, and to be intimidated about asking questions. And, so I've always tried to be helpful about answering questions and helping the new people on the forum. And I guess my best guess would be that effort was recognized. I think the other moderators are probably going to listen to this podcast, so they'll let me know if I'm right or wrong about that.
Send your rebuttals, please, to the Nissan Nation Podcast at gmail.com. Well, I mean, that's cool. I mean, I honestly, with my forums that I own, I make it a point to have people that you wouldn't expect, be moderators, because for one, there's always that truck guy. There's always that guy that, hey, I hate all these questions about tire sizes, or I hate, asking the same questions. And it's probably that keyboard bully kind of guy. And generally those seem to be the moderators on Jeep forums and stuff like that. So I really go out of my way to for one, I want my moderators to know what they're talking about, but I love diversity in that. And I think that that's kind of lacking a little bit in the trucks. Would you agree with that, or?
I don't think it's lacking as much as you think it is. When I think about the group of moderators, obviously Frontier Nation, there aren't many moderators. Club Frontier does have more.
Sure. Well, it is the King Frontier site.
What was that?
It is the King Frontier site.
Oh.
Right now, of course.
There is more diversity in that group than you would probably expect, just as far as different backgrounds and that.
Well,
but
go ahead.
Go ahead.
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, I was just going to say, it seems to me like there's more diversity among Frontier owners than there is among other types of four-wheel drive owners. That seems to be something I've noticed anyway.
Do you think that might be because like the Frontier's kind of always been the second fiddle to Toyota and stuff, and a lot of times I know, a lot of people that are drawn to a vehicle because they want something different. They don't want the Toyota or whatever, and that was a big sales point early on for like the Xterra. That it was completely different than anything else. Do you think that maybe because it's maybe not as popular truck that helps the diversity of it?
Yeah, I definitely think that there's something to that.
Well, Kelly, I hate to take up all the time here. You got any questions? Uh-oh. Ding, 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 ding,
Thanks for putting me on the spot, Dave. I guess I'll ask, obviously I've gotten more adventurous as time has come on in regard to off-roading, but I'm still not quite where you are. So how did you, other than the rock garden that you kind of talked about, where was the point where you really felt, hey, I can run with a difficult crew? Because I always have my husband in the passenger seat usually with me or in another vehicle on the trail with me. So when was it that you really became really confident of driving with a really tough group of individuals going out off-roading? Because I'm curious when that's going to happen for me.
I don't think I can really pinpoint any particular moment that happened. Actually, I can. I'm trying to look here. Sorry, I was actually just looking at my list of trail runs, trying to come up with an answer to your question. I think where that came in for me was when I started wheeling with some Jeep owners who had some fairly well modified rigs, and decided to attempt a trail that was a little bit beyond my comfort zone. Up until that point, I was kind of staying away from anything if I wasn't sure that my truck could do it, and got talked into doing something that was maybe, I don't want to say it was above my ability level, but it was definitely above my confidence level, and it really pushed my truck to its limits, or at least its limits with me as the driver
at that time.
And I had a lot of difficulty on the trail, and came out of it with my first set of battle scars, not counting that cute little rocker panel that I got. But I really think that was what did it for me, was forcing myself to push myself and push my truck. And I'm not sure if I can do this, but I'm going to do it anyway, because I'm with this group of people who can help me if I run into a problem. And I'll admit the first few years that I had this truck and went off road, I was kind of a chicken shit. I'll just be completely honest about that. And a lot of it's just come with really forcing myself to do things that I wasn't comfortable with. And, a lot of the things that I do now with this truck that I feel really, really, really comfortable doing are things that a few years ago, I never imagined in a million years that I would ever even want to do.
Well, that helps, because I can say 6 years ago, maybe, I couldn't have even told you that I would be in a lifted vehicle that was my own, let alone drive it myself or those types of things. So that's promising to say that I could eventually get there, because, you coming out of your comfort zone and finally getting there, that's reassuring that it'll come. So I appreciate that.
You can absolutely get there.
And I know I could, but it's just kind of getting there and seeing other women. I hate to say, I really hate bringing that back up, but really, when you're talking in a traditionally male sport, for lack of a better hobby, I guess. Yeah, that's probably more what we're looking for. But, you know, from a more male hobby, it's good to see other badass chicks out there driving vehicles, you know, and badass trucks with it.
Well, I mean, I look at, like, with your, I think it was one of our Windrock trips where I just kind of forced you to drive, and you just didn't want to drive, really. But, and it's not that you didn't want to drive, it's just you were scared you were going to break something. Mm-hmm. And I just basically made you drive the whole trip, you know. I was just kind of purposely kept away from the vehicle and made you do obstacles. And now, I mean, you did the ladies run last year all by yourself, which was no simple task. This year, I don't plan on being with you on that trip. And I think as long as the person driving the vehicle has somewhat of a working knowledge of the vehicle, and like both of you, you know, have done a lot of your own modifications now, and I think that's the key. Where, you know, there's some scared chicken shit guys out there that you know, they talk a good game. I can go to Discount Tires and put tires on my vehicle and look what I've done, you know, but they can throw money at it, but you get them out on the trails and they're scared as shit. So, I mean, my hat's off to you, and that's both of you, because I want to see more into this hobby. You know, at the rate that we're losing lands and stuff, we really need a different voice, and maybe it's the woman's voice that can help guide the men a little better. I know in my household, I need all the guidance I can get. Yep. But you know, the way, especially out your way, Jen, where they're just starting to just take everything away from everybody. I mean, I think we've had our chances, guys, man. You know, we've screwed up enough. We've torn up enough land and stuff, and we're not sensible people by any means. So maybe there needs to be the new voice.
Yeah,
I concur.
but anyway, let's see. Let me go through. I'm looking at your builds right now, and I just love. I mean, I love looking at all these big boulders and stuff that you're bashing your truck through. And I will try to put a couple of these pictures on the website. Like, there's a snow pick on the Frontier Nation one that's right at your build thread. That's just. Your truck just looks freaking wicked there, man. It's just like everything's snow.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I see the what kind of front bumper do you have there? Is that a custom build?
Yeah, actually, that bumper was built by my friend Chema, who lives in California. He built that for me because I wanted a bumper and he wanted to build one, and so we worked it out.
Man, that's the best way to make it happen, right there. We love Chema. He's a big supporter of the show too. We do appreciate that.
He's a great guy.
You know, somebody's making their path out to Went this year. So I'm just going to leave that there, Jen. That Chema, you know, he's a little further away and he's able to come to the East Coast. So
I know. I really wish I could go. If there was any way I could make it work, I promise you I would be there in a heartbeat.
Oh, hey, look at us, man. We've flown to Moab. Do you see us driving there? I mean, we're going to attempt that big drive next year, but
with the kids.
Yeah. Trust me, 2 years. It took 2 years of flying out there to make me want to drive out there, so I totally understand that. Let's see. Oh, I like how you say thanks for looking on your build. That's like, yeah, thanks for looking. You can't do this. You're not a badass like I am. Well, I really want to say we appreciate having you on the show. I know you were a little kind of not nervous, but skeptical about what am I going to talk about? You know, I don't have a lot to talk about. And I mean, here we've been an hour. We're an hour and 3 minutes right now. And I think we could probably talk to you another hour easy, just getting into the technical stuff of your vehicle. But we'll save that maybe for another podcast if you'll allow us.
Oh, we'll see.
Maybe Danny will show up for that one.
Maybe Danny can actually join us next time.
Or Mr. J.R. Carey, you know, if he's not putting in a floor or anything.
Right.
But I really want to say thank you for being on the show tonight, and it's been a pleasure to talk to you.
Yeah, it was fun. Thanks for having me.
All right. All right, so that was Miss Jenn, Don't Fuck With Me, Bachman. I thought that was a really good interview, man. She's very insightful, and she's very smart with what she's done.
Absolutely, and very articulate about her build thread.
That's right, and I tried to not ask any stupid questions, I guess.
Like heated mirrors or anything.
Where's Danny when we need him for those kind of things? So, let's see. I don't know what more to talk about, Kelly. It's been awesome having my wife Kelly on board tonight.
Aww, it's been nice to be here.
Loving you. But you can feel the warm love. Feel the warm love of my voice.
Ooh, all seductive like.
Man, so next time, what do we got next time? We are about to start some cool things, man. We got Mr. Steve-O of Rugged Rocks. He's going to start doing a couple things for the show. That should be interesting. Dan may or may not show up. Who knows? Dan had an awesome excuse tonight. He had some great news and somebody you need to go celebrate some great news with. So we can't foul him on that. J.R. Carey, the man, the myth, he's laying wood right now. He's laying wood in his house, so you can't.
I don't know why
you
or
can't,
how sometimes you surprise me.
You
with the
can't.
things you say.
You can't fault a man for laying wood, especially in his own house. So his wood floors will hopefully be done, and maybe JR can give us his presents and the aura and maybe some new music for us to listen to.
What kind of presents?
Birthday presents.
That's what I'm saying.
That's right.
What?
Nissan parts.
Oh, I'll take it.
That's right, man. We've got 3 Nissans we're trying to modify now. Speaking of which, Kelly, are you ready for Went?
I am ready for. Well, I lie. We've got a couple things we have to do to get ready. I've got my plastics I have to repaint because they're starting to.
Well, that's that girly part coming
bit.
out you. You gonna wear high heels when you do that too?
There are a few pictures of me modding my truck in a dress.
There are. Well, we won't go into those. That's after dark Nissan
it was
Nation.
Purely installing the Wrangler roof net in my truck,
Which you absolutely love.
Absolutely, I do absolutely love it.
Maybe we can get Eddie on here sometime.
Yeah, we totally should.
I know, man. I would be interested to know how he got into it, and then he ended up buying an Xterra.
Yeah.
What does he call it? The blue bitch or something like that. I don't know
what it's called.
Yeah, it's something crazy that
it's
Eddie.
It's a pretty badass truck, though.
And the dude we just got done talking with the guys of NORAC last week, and they were telling us that Eddie bashed the piss out of that poor thing, man.
Oh.
Yeah, he caved in the front fender and door.
Pretty.
Well, it was so pretty.
Yeah, there goes the girl in me again.
I know. Well, we've got. I think next show we've got a little bit more Went talk. That's our big event coming up.
Mm-hmm.
We plan for like 364 days out of the year for this thing, and
we tried to plan for only like 200 days of the year, but it's always 364 days. It's
always those last minute details to make sure everybody has fun. Maybe we can get Mr. Luke Pankow back on here to give us the lowdown of what's going on. We've got. Man, there's all kinds of interesting Nissan people coming up that I just want to talk about, and I just want to tease the people with that. I love my wife's laugh, by the way. Anyways, so I guess that's it, Kelly. I'm talked out tonight. We're probably like an hour 4 or 5 now. So
wow.
I know. You don't even want to hear me talk this much when we're watching TV or something or just sitting around.
I really don't want to hear you talk this much when we're watching TV.
Well, till next time, guys, and until we can find Daniel Groders and wherever he's hiding. And I just want to say this is the Nissan Nation podcast. And what are we, Kelly?
We are out.
Peace.